Seeing as it is 7 o'clock, the Monday, September 16th, 2024 Gardner City Council Finance Committee meeting will come to order. The clerk will please call the roll.
Councilor Garner-Lewis.
Present.
Councilor Mack.
Present.
President Kuzitskis.
Present. Is anyone here recording tonight's meeting? Okay. We will begin with the review and approval of the meeting minutes of the September 4th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting.
I move to waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Garner-Lewis, seconded by Councilor Mack to waive the reading of the minutes and accept them as presented. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes. Item 11388, a resolution to support the administration's request for the Massachusetts Department of Transportation to take over custodianship of Route 140 from Green Street to the Winchendon Town Line. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. This is something that the town of Winchendon did a couple of years ago on their own end. Basically, there are portions of Route 140 that the Massachusetts Department of Transportation oversees in terms of maintenance and construction costs or any repair work. And the section from Green Street to the Winchendon Town Line is actually under the city's jurisdiction. Yes, it was repaved a couple of years ago, but that's because we were able to get a federal grant to repave it and do the work there. But if there's any maintenance issues, if there's any type of repair work, line painting, everything but plowing, that we have right now a contract with the Department of Transportation that they'll plow and salt it. Everything else falls under the city. The state is looking at taking full ownership of Route 140 because they own everything before Green Street and everything after the Winchendon Town Line on 140, so this would make it so that they have full ownership of the state route and get the maintenance liability off of the city and onto the state. Because this is just transferring custodianship of the road above the land, this isn't a conveyance. That would have required 8 votes by the council, its declaration of surplus, going out to bid, and everything under Chapter 30B like we would normally do with any other property. But this isn't selling the underlying land, it's just transferring the custodianship of the road itself. So since this isn't selling any land, the city still maintains the fee interest under the street of the land. It's just the actual work on the road. So this just requires a resolution from the council and then an accompanying layer from the mayor saying that they are, that we as a city are granting custodianship of the route to MassDOT.
Questions, comments from the committee?
It's been input from both the law department and the DPW on this item?
Yes, so the law department has reviewed the full amount. The DPW is in favor of it, and they were the ones who actually suggested that we move forward with this once MassDOT reached out. The state representative, John Zlotnick's been involved in these conversations too. He's how MassDOT first came to the table on this matter. So it's one of those that it's been a full collaborative and reviewed process up to this point.
Thank you. Further questions, comments from the committee?
Has this been discussed for some before?
Yes.
Okay, I thought this has been brought up to us before. Thank you.
Yeah, there were items that were brought up saying that this is something we were looking into. Now that we've got the full legal process and it's been vetted and everything, it's the action step for it.
Thank you. When this first had come up, I had a lot of questions, but I've been included on some of the communications and spoken with DPW. My only other question, kind of more for the public, is when I have full confidence that the state will maintain the custodianship of the street, and it will be great. Is there a way to just hold accountability? Is it just a conversation to have with them and just, okay. That's the information I had got. I didn't know if you had gotten anything else. And like I said, I have full confidence that it's going to be fine. I just want to be sure for the public that they know that we have conversations and we're able to, hold people accountable for what they're supposed to be maintaining, because it isn't a conveyance and it still is, part of Gardner. Further questions, comments? Is there a motion?
I move to recommend adoption of the resolution to the full council.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Garner-Lewis, seconded by Councilor Mack to recommend passage of the resolution. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Item 11389, an order authorizing $12,139.35 payment of previous fiscal year bill for public building utilities, mayor's unclassified account. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Similar to what we had the last time, this does relate to bills that were paid for utilities for the Waterford Street, soon-to-be community center building. The auditor's office has asked for additional time though, because they just want to double check to make sure the numbers as they're closing out and everything from the fiscal year, these numbers may change slightly. So either more time, if you'd like to resubmit, we can do either of those things. for you, but the auditor just wants to take another look at this he thought he was done, and then some more information came out today during his review, so he just wants to do a double check.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Questions, comments from the committee?
I think as we're waiting on just further information, the auditors pulling, I think the best option here is to remove the item from our calendar.
I would agree with that as well. And when it is resubmitted, I would also just suggest that it's like the full package. All of the bills are in there. It's all very clear because we did have that information. It would end up being part of the record, but I just think, in our best practice of full transparency, that's all included in it. And that way, we do want to get the bill paid. We just have to make sure we know what we're paying. Yeah. That's part of our job. So that would just be my piece of it. Is there further?
No.
Is there a motion?
I move to remove the item from the calendar.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor General, seconded by Councilor Mack to recommend to the full council to remove the item from the calendar. Is there a discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes. Item 11390, a measure authorizing a 5-year contract period for school district copier printer services. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. The general laws of the Commonwealth require that the council vote to approve any contract for a period greater than 3 years, up to 5 years. The 5-year contracts tend to get us better pricing when we go out to bid because it's a longer term commitment. So that's one of the practices that we typically do. We do a slew of these at the beginning of the fiscal year and throughout the year. If there's other ones that come up periodically, those like these two that you see before you here today, are ones that we'll bring up at that time. So these will go out to bid shortly, but it's just so we can get a better pricing.
Questions, comments from the committee?
Just makes sense that we do this because, it is going to get better pricing for the schools, and I know the schools they have many copiers, and they repeatedly need constant servicing.
This is something that we do often enough in order to get the better pricing, like I said, and I would move to recommend authorization to the full council.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor General, seconded by Councilor Mack to recommend authorization to the full council for the city to negotiate a 5-year contract period. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Item 11391, a measure authorizing a 5-year contract period for fire alarm and sprinkler testing services. This item is very similar to the previous item, and it is something that we, as Councilor Delau said about the past item, it's something that we see pretty much every year. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that, Mr. Mayor?
No, just that these monitoring things have annual tests. So if you're just wondering what the frequency of these is, it's an annual required test that we have on all our buildings.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we move the item to the council for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mack, seconded by Councilor General to recommend approval to the full council. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes. Item 11393, a measure naming the property located at 62 Waterford Street as the Waterford Community Center. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. The official name of a building is actually set by council vote. This is something that may change in the long term, whether we keep the word Waterford, whether we move to Gardner Community Center, whether we come up with a different name for the location. But what this move does is it officially loses the school designation of the building and allows us to move forward. The first draft, or I should say final draft of the lease agreement was finalized today and received by my office from the law department. We're working right now on finalizing that with the Gardner CAC, so that should be coming soon to the City Council, and then we'll be moving forward from there. However, we just need to lose the school designation of the building in order for us to move forward with the next steps in the process. So that's what the request here is, to just name it the Community Center for now, the Waterford Community Center for now, instead of Waterford Street School. That way we can at least keep the ball rolling and get things going, and then maybe look at a different name once everyone's in the building and we're ready for a fully utilized grand opening of the building.
So as I understand it, this is an administrative action at this point.
Yes.
And I just would want to be really clear to the public that this would be something that the naming is a vote, and it is something we would do. But this really right now is administrative, so that we can move forward with filling the building, making it the community center that it's supposed to be.
Yes.
If that's in the plan. Because that was my first question to you when I received this.
Yeah.
Just to be sure, like, wait a minute, are we like naming a building right now?
Yeah.
Because this is like a bigger process.
Yeah. No,
I appreciate that explanation, and also I know that was also vetted by the law department as well.
It was, yes. Yeah, it's a procedural move that the law department suggested be done, just to clarify that this is no longer a school building. Boston's officially lifted the school designation of it on their end, so this is our almost confirmation of that action.
Thank you. Further questions, comments from the committee?
I don't have any further questions. I move we recommend to the full council to authorize the measure to designate the property located at 62 Waterford Street as the Waterford Community Center.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Bernalowitz, seconded by Councilor Knapp, to recommend to the full council to designate the property located at 62 Waterford Street as Waterford Community Center. Is there a discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion passes. Item 11289, an ordinance to amend the Code of the City of Gardner, Part 1, thereof entitled Administrative Legislation. We've talked about this at previous meetings. We've had more time. This is a large document that has been revised many times. There's been a lot of questions on it. It is basically a document that makes things more uniform amongst different bodies that have different functions within the city, and so that people are really clear on a lot of the processes and the way that these bodies are made up, and the terms and all kinds of different details. So it isn't very much an administrative document. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
I think that as it has evolved, the new parts at the beginning, moving things at the beginning is going to be helpful. Been going through it, as you stated, it's a long document. Taking down notes, I feel there's more things I want to compare on it, and possible changes, not significant changes, but small tweaks to make. As we discussed before, if we're going to do this, we might as well do it right. It's functioning now. Make the edits we need to, and then have something in place that's appropriate going forward. So I would recommend asking for more time again.
I agree. I think it's worth the time we've taken on it, and I think we should continue to take the time on it that we need. And it doesn't change. Right now, it doesn't change much. It's not something that's, it's time sensitive, but it is something that we want to make sure is done correctly.
I agree, and when I continue to go through it, when it says like delete section 5, eventually in the final document, I want section 5, or I want, to see what we're taking out, for comparison, if we're taking out a sentence and replacing it, I want to see the original sentence with strikeouts in what we're replacing it. We've been, in my former career, we did that with even the program of studies to the school committee with strikeouts and stuff, because it's not a document that they look at every day. And this is something that we all look at every day. So we're really, when we take that vote, we really see everything in front of us together. Thank you.
So on this item, I think we would recommend to the council that we take more time on the item. There's no action at this point that I think we have, so we'll take more time. Okay. Item 11387, a resolution relating to the future of Coleman Street School. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This was submitted by Councilor Brad Hegland at the last council meeting. Just basically looking for a plan moving forward on Coleman Street School. It's currently rented out by Mock. The school committee had a lease agreement with that one that hasn't been renewed in quite some time. So I have no objections to this. I think it's fine to review the process, and quite frankly, we've done it similar with most of the other school buildings that we have that are no longer being used as schools, and it's just making sure that we're keeping our properties into the state that they are and maintaining that we have a plan moving forward for all of our buildings. So I think it's a great move.
Thank you. Questions, comments from the committee?
I make a motion that we recommend to the council to pass the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mack, seconded by Councilor Bernalowitz to recommend to pass the resolution to the council. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mack, seconded by Councilor Bernalowitz to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everyone.